Hello, hello. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show.
Changed it
On
up.
a Sunday night with some good Lakers talk ahead of us. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. We are not worthy, Mr. Austin Reaves. We are not worthy.
Yeah, man, that was one of those performances for the ages. I mean, obviously LeBron's been out, Luka out, and Austin Reaves puts his Robin costume away and puts on his Batman mask and handles his business.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right.
Got to give that applause to Austin Reaves right there.
Gotta give him a few of those. Yeah, he obviously, if there was with the situation, not the situation Lakers want to be in, and but it is what it is, and he obviously needs to step up. I didn't expect a big 51 per se. Expected a probably pretty high clip of scoring. Kind of similar to, I remember, I think they played Indiana last year. He had like a really high scoring game and good game where they beat them. But yeah, he was on it on it tonight.
That's for sure. Getting that paper,
which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we will. All right, everybody. I am the Game Injury Doc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my right is Eric B. Mack. We are the host of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us at our YouTube page. If you are there live right now, hit that subscribe button, hop in the comments, talk about Lakers, talk about anything NBA, anything related to that. We'll kind of get to those comments as we go. We also will be uploading the pod after the live show. So wherever you get your podcast, the pod will be there. That is the Hoops Rehab Show. All right, Eric, let's get this cracking. So Lakers go on the road for their first game on the road. You get an announcement today that Luka is going to be out, and we're going to kind of dive into what he's dealing with later in the show. But what was your first thought when you heard that? Because especially coming off of a 43-point game and a 49-piece last game.
First thought was like, damn, because we have talked about how this first 15 games or so are critical. I mean, even without LeBron and just getting off to that quick start, the West is daunting and you don't want to fall behind early. And so that was kind of my first thought. I anticipate him coming back relatively quick, but they have a lot of games in this like jam-packed next couple weeks. So that's kind of what my first thought was like, shoot, we're going to get behind the 8 ball here. But, games like tonight do help because I kind of thought tonight would be a tough challenge in Sacramento, which it was. It was a close game, but, obviously glad they pulled through. But, yeah, overall, it's, injury bug is starting a little too early this season. For the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, think about if you would have told me, just wipe out the season so far, 2 games, and you're not even thinking about it. But if you're in your 3rd game and you weren't going to have LeBron James or Luka already in your 3rd game, and you can put Jackson Hayes in there.
Yep.
I mean, win a game on the road, 3rd game of the season in Sacramento is pretty damn impressive there. And that was a big part of Mr. Austin Reaves, Mr. I'ma get the bag. He just, I mean, what can I say? Like from undrafted player to where he is as a Laker, and we talked about this before the season. Is I thought potentially he could be an all-star this season. Main reason is because LeBron was going to be out for probably 10 to 15 games.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at, all right, he's definitely can be that Batman or be that Robin to anybody, to Luka, right? They can possibly be one of the best backcourt duos in the league because of what they're doing offensively.
Yeah, I think he should definitely have obviously a long way to go to the All-Star break, but he should have the numbers. Like first 3 games I think were 25, 26, and of course now 51. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's been a just natural progression. He's gotten better every year basically. Lakers have done a great job with developing him, and obviously he's put in a lot of work. And so yeah, we went through the list, right, of all the guards and stuff, and we'll see where the chips fall, right? There's going to be injuries. There's going to be people that are out, in and out of lineups. And I would anticipate him being at the very least in the running for kind of a reserve position in the West. or whatever they're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the Lakers guard play to start the season, right? I mean, the 43 from Luka, the 49, and now 51. Like, I can't think of. I mean, probably since like Steph Curry, kind of Klay Thompson, where they've had a period of 3 games in a row where they've had 40, 40, and 50. I'm sure there has been. I'm sure there's been multiple guards that have done that on teams, but to me, that is damn near one of the most amazing stats you'll see in a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, a few games in, I think Luka just did it really quick, averaging 46. Austin Reaves averaging 34. We know it's early, but it is pretty historic for things of guard play first few games of the season. And yeah, it's just gonna probably most likely have to carry the load in that sense, just gonna probably have to win some high scoring affairs like they did tonight. And yeah, pretty remarkable.
Yeah. One of the biggest things for me, like in the offseason, was, there's always talk about, should you trade Austin Reaves? Can Austin Reaves and Luka work together? And my thing is, they're just interchangeable, right? They both can create for themselves and create for the teammates. So that's why you see him when he's by himself, he's getting damn near triple double, because he can get the assists, he can get the rebounds, and also can score. And I just think that they're like 3-way players like that. And so you put them together, it's like you got one on one side, one on the other side, and then you add obviously one of the greatest players of all time, a LeBron, to that, and you have 3 of those interchangeable players. And so if you have one guy that's injured or one guy that needs to play less minute or is out, you always will have that facilitator on the court. And I think that just is going to work big time for the Lakers as they move forward in the season.
Yeah, when they have the 3 guys, I mean, obviously they're going to start, they're going to finish games and things of that nature, but they're going to have to figure out a way to somehow, I mean, obviously the score of the game is going to dictate things, but at least have 1 to 2 of those guys like at all times on the floor, kind of figure out a way to stagger that.
Yeah.
Obviously when the 3 are there, because they, yeah, like you said, they're interchangeable. They do a lot of similar things, which sometimes we'll see. I mean, sometimes it's a little tough having guys to do the same thing, but I mean, they showed last year it could work. There were some other things that need to get shored up that hopefully will, but yeah, I just feel like when it's hopefully soon here in the next few weeks, when everybody's back, it's we see at least one of them on the floor at all times.
Yeah, that's the best part is you can have 2 of them on the bench, but you just always will have to have one of them there. Now, first thing that came to mind for me is, obviously Austin is going to be going into a contract year and a big extension to be coming in maybe this offseason. First thing I thought was, after this game, Austin Reaves has to be doing a little bit of this.
Here it is. Show me the money.
Show me the money. He's going to get that bag, isn't he, Eric? And you obviously hope it's going to be with the Lakers, but do you want that to happen? I mean, I know we're in the moment. We're obviously playing that kind of, as it happens. We obviously are super high on him, but do you want Austin Reaves to be a Laker for a long time?
I mean, before I answer that, so I believe so. I think he's up this summer, right? Whether he could probably opt out, and so he is showing that his progression, like as I talked about, and then tonight, and we'll see the next couple of weeks, he's also showing off to some of those teams, like, hey, I could maybe be like that guy too, or that number 2 versus like the number 3 here. And so I think for the Lakers, what they got to think about, so obviously they'll have his bird rights and they can kind of sign him to whatever his like eligibility is in terms of contracts. I guess they just got to think, if not him, then who, and who is that? How much is that going to cost? And is that player going to do what Austin does? Is it going to be a little different? So you got to think about those things. So with all that said and done, or with all that knowing all that, I would say, yeah, you probably do as a Laker. Just need to kind of wrap it up. Because he's showing right now, at least, that he's obviously a hell of a ball player.
Yeah, and to me, to solidify your backcourt, guys that are, Luka's 26, Austin is 25 or 26, if I'm not mistaken. So to solidify young 20-year-olds in their mid-20s to pretty much be 27. Okay, so they'll be in their prime at this point. Solidify that for like 4 to 5 years. I think that is a sign deal, right? Now LeBron, obviously, there's going to be a lot to be worked out there, whether or not he's going to retire, whether or not he just wants to be a free agent, kind of go somewhere for maybe his last year. Yeah. Regardless of that, I think you're going to have to lock him down and then work on who you would add as that third person if LeBron were to leave, right? But I think overall, you got to give the boy his money. He is likely, if he continues on this trajectory of the way his career is going, will go down as one of the best undrafted NBA players ever.
Ooh, that is definitely saying a lot because, but probably is true. Obviously, just came out of nowhere, undrafted. Came up in the G League or whatever it was called then, and I think it was G League still. Just trying to look up here, so he could decline his $14.8 million option, which most likely will happen. He could potentially earn around 30 to 40 million annually. So Lakers could offer, Lakers could offer him a 5-year 240 max, while other teams can do a 40. Other teams, like say if Lakers don't do it, they go to the summer, he's a free agent. Other teams can offer 4 for 183. So it all just depends, I guess you got to see who wants to pay that, right? 183 divided by 4. Yeah, it's like 45. I would be comfortable, like, I know the salaries are just going up and up, and so somewhere kind of in like the 35 range, which is crazy, but
now if he makes an all NBA team, say for instance, I don't think that's possible this year, but if he made an all NBA team, if he made an all NBA team, does that change it? Like at this point, like because he was a undrafted player, he's on a different type of extension. I'm just trying to think if it's the same as if anybody made an all NBA team, or it'd be a little bit different for him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it is a little different with like not being drafted and things like that. I'm just kind of, I don't know if this is accurate, but it says making an all NBA team could qualify him for a higher level max contract. Possibly.
So he might be able to get a little bit more.
Yeah.
But he also,
anyways,
thinking about the Lakers, like not that he would take a huge discount or anything like that, but it might be one of those like, hey, I'm, good 4-year, 5-year, $200 million, whatever that is, right? To kind of align with Luka, which, I think he's going to be in the range from 40 to 50. That seems the way he's playing. He's likely going to get that. And with the contracts going up, right, Luka is going to eventually be making like $60 million a year, whatever that figure is. There's going to be players making 70, right, plus $1 million a year based on the new cap. So it's going to probably be of value if we just sign him for that extension.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we know it's a business, right? And then there's going to be that poker, kind of game of poker where it's like, okay, well, if you are going to be a free agent this coming off season, which teams are going to have cap space, right? And are they going to sign you for that? And somebody may, you got your Nets of the world, and will they throw all their money at Austin Reaves? I don't know. So that's kind of just going to, a little bit of game of cat and mouse with that. But just to not turn into something ugly, I would imagine Lakers probably, and maybe Reaves as well, I would imagine as well, want to just wrap this up too, in terms of an extension. But he's definitely, at least the first few games, is proving that he's worth it. So I think that's something we'll just have to monitor as the season goes on.
Yeah. for sure. And, kind of going back to undrafted players, right? 3 of the best kind of undrafted players right now are Ben Wallace, who's obviously a Hall of Famer, right? We talked about him kind of before. Different type of player, but obviously great defensive player. One of the Detroit Pistons wouldn't have won championships without him. You got
everybody makes a Hall of Fame these days, huh? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Eric, we ain't disrespecting on a Sunday night, Eric.
I know.
Ben Wallace, not my man Ben Wallace.
Not on Sundays. Not on Sundays.
The next one I tell you is Udonis Haslem. We know how long his career went in the last 5 years of his career on the bench.
I was making a face as I thought you were saying Hall of Fame too, but I get it.
No. He's not.
Yeah.
He's one of the best undrafted players.
Solid.
And then you got Fred VanVleet, right? So I think offensively, Austin Reaves is probably one of the best. Right, because Ben Wallace was obviously not an offensive player, just more defense, and kind of just was the captain of that team, kind of led that team, right? But when you think offensively, Austin Reaves getting into his prime, is he better than Fred VanVleet as a scorer? Likely, right? Fred VanVleet is obviously a great player. He's won a championship in this league, but compared to what Austin Reaves can kind of do on the court at this stage and what he's doing, I think he can go down as one of the best undrafted players.
I think so. You know how many points Ben Wallace averaged in his career? I'm sorry.
Stop it. It's going to be like 6, bro.
It's 5.7. I just had 5.7.
But, okay, give me 14 rebounds then. What's the average on the rebounds?
Let's see, rebounds. I just had it right.
If he's averaging 5.6, he must have been averaging like at least, by the end of his career, probably about 11, 12. But I know in his prime, he was getting that 17, 18 boards a game or something like that.
9.6.
Okay. Okay. So my man, Ben Wallace, no disrespect, went into the Hall of Fame with singles.
Singles. Look.
So, but that's going to be Draymond Green. Like he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as that. We can't fully disrespect these players because we saw them. We definitely saw what Ben Wallace meant to the Detroit Pistons, right? Now, when you look back at numbers, it looks awful. But, if you collected players in that time period and you said who was the best center during that time period, obviously, offensively, it was not him, but he would be up there with one of the best defensive players in the league at that time.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, like his first few years of the season of the league, and then his last few probably really brought down those averages. But yeah, similar to a Draymond, I'm sure somebody doing a podcast in like 20, 30 years may look at those stats and be like, as well. And you really know what he has meant for the Warriors just by the eye test and I guess Ben Wallace, which I didn't think we'd be getting into Ben Wallace tonight, but yeah, he obviously beat the Lakers in 2004. He was pretty huge then, so I guess I can't say much. But I would say he had a 1, 2, 3, and he was like defensive player of the year, right? 3 or 4 years. So yeah. I guess we got to put Rudy Gobert in there too then. But anyways,
you all getting everybody tonight, Eric.
I'm just getting everybody.
Oh goodness.
Ben Wallace does have a chip. That does count. But anyway, so when you said like Austin Reaves one of the better players undrafted, I honestly thought those 3 you said are really good players. I thought there would be actually some better ones. So man, he is definitely in the running, when it's all said and done, I would imagine.
I thought Michael Redd was undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I was thinking him too, but he was a second round.
He was second round. Okay. Like I always remember him like as a late second or something like that.
Yeah, really late, I think.
There's not as many as you would think, right? I mean, there's like Avery Johnson was undrafted, right? So he's a great player, obviously. Solid. But yeah, to go overall, like to be this skilled offensively is kind of shocking.
Yeah, no, for real. Because like I said, when you said that, I'm like, oh, okay, I wonder who else is out there. But he's in good company, right? Like I guess like John Starks too. I mean, there's some good guys, but at this trajectory and just offensively speaking, and we'll see what he can do kind of to the next several years. But man, he's definitely balling out so far. That's for sure.
For sure. All right, so let's get to these Lakers a little bit. I know we got into Austin Reaves a lot, and it's well-deserved. But overall, just looking at this new kind of revamped Lakers squad, right? And going into last season before, when we would have AD out or LeBron out, like you just felt there was nothing they can do offensively, even defensively sometimes, and you really didn't know where they're going to get points from. And so when you look at tonight's game, obviously a lot came from Austin Reaves, but you had players like Rui put in 18. And then I wanted to get to my man, DeAndre Ayton, who had 22 and 15.
What up?
He's a big guy. Yes.
Okay. DeAndre Ayton. Give him his flowers. We got on him after the first game.
Yeah, well deserved. He, the second game, I think he had like 15 and 10. This game's kind of come up a little bit. But obviously, with Luka out, we're going to need him to be in that 20 and 10 range to kind of fill the gaps, right? But what do you see out of DeAndre, and what do you feel kind of moving forward?
Yeah, last year, if we didn't have those two, we wouldn't have a big fella to kind of lean on against Sabonis and teams like that. He definitely, if you're talking about just tonight, I mean, he outplayed Sabonis, which he actually normally kills us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, remember what he did to AD?
AD, yeah. Yeah, it was different when he played AD. That's why AD doesn't want to play that 5, right? But anyways, so we'll need more of that. I mean, you would know he's not going to get 22 and 15 every night, but he should if LeBron and Luka are out, and those rebounds, it's something that I believe he can get every night, around that at least. And if we can get 20 points out of him, that's gravy. But 15 to 17 would be nice. But yeah, I thought he was physical again. I thought he outplayed Sabonis, as I mentioned, and he was just that extra 20 points that they really needed tonight. And so they'll need him against his ex team tomorrow and going forward for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I like having a true center, right? Obviously, all of us talk about AD. He did not want to play center. He did not want to play the 5. He was still dominant. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was great at that position. But like the fact that we can actually have a big guy that can impose his will on the offensive end and also getting boards, I think it's key to have, right? Especially when you have the guard play that we now have with Austin Reaves and Luka. So I think having that combination is something that I think is what they saw in the offseason, obviously, luckily getting Ayton. And hopefully it'll kind of like he's bought in and it'll pay off throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah. Hopefully we, it's obviously completely different player than Anthony Davis, and nobody's going to really compare the two, but just kind of what the Lakers need and very much needed last year towards the end of the year in the playoffs. So far, Ayton has provided that, and hopefully he kind of stays on that path. Because he's a former number 1 pick. I mean, has some talent. He was really good with Phoenix. So it's not like he hasn't had good seasons, just kind of fell off there at the end of his tenure with Phoenix, and then with Portland, it's just it is what it is. So I like what I see, and I hope they can continue to feed him and kind of keep him in the game. And definitely it's been a good addition along with Marcus Smart, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now I wanted to that was a good lead way to what I wanted to get into. We got 2 players on this team. I feel like they are going to be together, locked in, a dynamic duo. The new Bash brothers, Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt. Ooh. Their defensive presence on this team is going to be something that will create a lot of wins, but will also, if they can continue to play this way, will do wonders when it comes to playoff time. Because I feel like Jared Vanderbilt was a plus 15 tonight. He had 9-5, 2 assists, 2 steals, and just was kind of all over the place. Marcus Smart has continued to apply pressure on defense, especially when it comes to the guards or their best player. And so I think players like that we didn't really have last year, because Jared Vanderbilt was injured, kind of coming back, and was never the same last year. He was kind of like that a couple of years ago. And then now we're getting the best version of Marcus Smart prior to some of the injuries that he's had the last year. So what do you think of them kind of moving forward there?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking the same. Vando at the 5. Last year was a tough year for him. Remember, he was going to come back. Was it like he's going to be back game 4 of the playoffs the year before, and then he, came back and he's finally fully healthy, and he just has to play his role. We talked about let's not put him in the bad spots where he's in there with like Hayes or something of that nature, or he's an offensive threat. Like we know what he is, and then Smart. I just hope he can stay healthy, right? Like long season, he's like throwing himself all over the place, and it's great to see. I just hope. I mean, we saw him go to the locker room tonight. He looks like he came back, and we'll have to wonder, right? Back to back tomorrow. Does he perhaps sit? Things of that nature. But just if as a whole with those two new Bash brothers, I think it's kind of a tone setter. I think it's a pace changer, and that is something we didn't have last year. So that was good to see tonight too.
Yeah, for sure. Let me hop into one of these comments from our YouTube chat. I'm worried about overuse of Smart, and that's kind of what Eric just said right now. Now, yes, do I worry about him? The way he plays, his physicality can be very demanding on the body. So he's going to have to find that fine line with that. But it's a lot of soft tissue stuff, right? So it's like bruising of the body, constant like banging of knees. And like I think that's what kind of happened with his knee, and kind of it gets locked up in that way. So I think, yes, it's hard to say tone that down because that's who he is.
Of course.
Yeah, giving him a little bit more rest, throughout like every 5-6 games, or just, maybe some games he won't play as physical as he is. But that's something we're going to have to watch out for kind of moving forward. But, it's just the way he is.
Yeah, it's like we don't want a non-physical Marcus Smart. We may as well not have him. But yeah, it's a very good point, as I kind of just mentioned, where it is get you a little worried. But hopefully Lakers manage those minutes. It's an early season back-to-back, so as long as he's fine, he'll be out there. But they will, like you just said, every 5-6 games kind of monitor that, because that kind of style we need in late in the season and the playoffs. But I mean, it was a kind of a no-lose situation with his signing, and so far has been paying off dividends.
Yeah, definitely, because he's the Boston Celtics, and so kind of signing him is tough. But we did have a Rick Fox that came to our team, and obviously the Lakers loved Rick Fox. Yep. Again, Sam Davison, the Bash Bros fire. Ooh. Okay, so if you guys like the Bash Bros as a little new term for Vando and Smart, holla in the chat and let us know. All right, so unfortunate news kind of coming out today. We had two fronts, right? We had the Luka injury that we're going to talk about a little bit, but we also had Gabe Vincent go down in this game and not be able to come back. So I went over and looked over the play, and it looked like he had a lateral ankle sprain. So he did the typical inversion ankle sprain. It did look like it went over pretty well, like almost to that point where it gets to about 90 degrees or so. So you always worry about the severity. We won't know anything until they do an MRI, which will probably be tonight or tomorrow morning. And then that'll kind of give us the grade. But when you're looking at sprains and healing time, they all vary. So if it's a grade 1 sprain, that's kind of like the minimal sprain, the most mild form of it. And that's usually can take like up to a week to kind of heal. Might miss a couple games, maybe some tape and things like that to kind of help with support. It'll be fine. Now, when you get into the grade 2 sprains, which is a partial tear of the ligaments, then we get into a little bit more. It's not just days; it might be weeks, right? It might be 2 to 4 weeks in that time frame, even up to 6 weeks sometimes. So we're hoping that it's more of a minor kind of sprain. It didn't look good when he came out of it and kind of was limping off and was kind of walking to the locker room. But we'll have to see more tomorrow with that.
Yeah, it didn't look pretty. It's just last thing you need. I mean, Lakers need guys out there with the injuries that we've been talking about all show long, and so a Gabe Vincent injury hurts a little extra when you don't have obviously Luka and LeBron and Hayes, and so because the more guys that are out, just the more like a little deeper you go into the bench, and right, that's not always a great thing for big minutes. I mean, sometimes guys step up and things like that. But it's we've talked about there's quite a bit of games coming up here. So if he's out that 1 to 2 weeks or what have you, it's going to be a handful of games. And so, his kind of veteran leadership, his defense, timely threes here and there, it'll be missed for this stint.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because obviously they're going through a little injury bug with LeBron and Luka, and he's been playing well defensively. Like Gabe last game was guarding Ant, he was guarding everybody, and really had a solid game there. So he will be missed. I'm not saying he's out completely. I mean, who knows? He could wake up tomorrow and it wasn't that big of a deal. Sometimes when they look bad, they're not as bad. Also, usually the worst versions are if somebody's jumping and they land like that, then there's all the weight that comes down on it, and that's a lot more force. His was just kind of, driving, then going to the basket, and then it just turned, right? So hopefully there's not as much force there, and it's maybe something he can tape up and play. But likely, if I had to take an educated guess, he would be out tomorrow because it's a back-to-back.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. At the very least, it's a good chance he'd be out. Like you said, because it is a game that's in less than 24 hours. But hopefully it's that just looks bad and it's not as bad, so he can kind of be out there on Wednesday or Friday. Because as I mentioned, it's they need all the guys they can get out there.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers have 4 games this week, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So there are a lot of games that, we know these players are going to miss, or at least we know Luka's going to miss for the week. But hopefully Gabe can make it back at some point with that. Yep.
Let's hope. Too many injuries too early in the season, including Luka, who we're going to get into right now.
Yep. All right. So Luka, it's interesting, right? So the first game, if you guys remember, he had that groin thing towards the end of it where he was, grabbing towards the groin, wasn't moving as well towards the end, went late into the press conference, said they were working on his groin. The next couple of practices, they're working on his groin, came out and dropped a 49 piece the next game. And you're like, okay, his groin is 100%, right? Like, or at least whatever hip issue, whatever you were saying issue was gone. However, I remember seeing in this game, in the first quarter, like where, I went back and looked at the play, and it was like, I think with 9 minutes to go, they only had about 2 points. He was shooting a jumper, and then immediately when he missed it, they panned to him. He's like shaking his finger at his left hand. And then after that, he kind of just had this tape job on the finger. When they got to the second half, he had it wrapped around the wrist and kind of went all the way around to the finger and the thumb as well. So I think it was something that, once they went into the locker room, they had to put a little bit more onto it. And then the next day probably swelled up. And whenever there's a sprain, the joint's going to feel pretty painful. And that's probably something that he felt the next day and following days. And that's why he's going to be out for the week, to let that heal. Now, they said the other reason is it's a lower leg contusion. So I'm assuming that's the contusion from the game one. If they're saying that, unless there was something that happened in the last game, which I never saw. And also he handled business the whole time, had 49 points. So it wasn't like you saw him get a knee to the leg or anything like that to cause confusion. So I'm thinking that's still the groin hip thing from game one. And they just really want that to heal, because you don't want him to go out. And even though he had such a great game last game, to go out and just strain the muscle and tear that muscle and then eventually have him out about 6 weeks, right? So I think they probably just sat down and said, hey, let's just make sure this is actually healthy, because it might have been bothering them after last game. And that's more the issue versus the finger sprain.
Yeah, like the finger on the non-shooting hand, right?
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm a little shocked that the finger would be holding him out, especially when it's the non-shooting hand. And finger sprains is something that you could just tape up. You get what I mean? If it was his shooting hand, I would be like, okay, maybe that's going to bother him a little bit more. It's also his ring finger, so even when you're following through, that doesn't do as much in a real shot.
yeah.
So I'm a little shocked that they put him out a week already with that, and that's why, in my opinion, I feel like it's a little bit more to do with the lower leg portion, and in particular, maybe the groin issue from game one.
Yeah, no, definitely a good point. I mean, it's the finger was like the highlight, but they probably, as you said, just kind of talked it out and say, hey, you got this finger thing. Your leg's obviously not 100%. Let's just put this on ice for a week or two and, let both heal. You know what I mean? And so I think they're not going to make the decision based on, okay, oh, shoot, LeBron's not there, so we got to have him out there. They're making a decision on it's October 26th, and we have an 80-game season, 79 games left now. Like, let's be smart, and it's tough, right? You're gonna, potentially maybe get some losses and things that you may have not gotten. Who knows? But it's just better to be healthy with, let's say, 70 games to go, versus come back a little early, re-injure that finger, or of course your groin, which would be even worse.
Yep. And so, knowing that he's going to be, and again, there's the key words here, he's going to be reevaluated in a week, does not mean he is back in a week. And so that, to me, I'm not trying to say the sprain of the finger is not a big deal. It could be. But you play the whole game, you got a 49 piece, right? I think it's more to do with the lower leg issue, and they want to make sure that's not going to hinder him moving forward. And so they're going to give him a week off to see what that feels like. And at that week period, I think they're going to, make sure, test everything, make sure he's not having any issues with that. And if he is having issues with that, then that's when we might see extended period of time. So I don't think he's going to be back just next Sunday, right? It's going to be probably reevaluated, and then probably up to that next week for him to ramp up. And then who knows where he'll be in the time period there.
Yeah, I think the Lakers saw the Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday schedule that's coming up right now. Wow, so Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, so that's 5 games, right? So he would likely is missing 6 games for sure.
So it was they're going to have weeks like this, right? But this is in particular a lot of games, and so they're just thinking like, man, let's not, like we just talked about, let's not make this worse than it really needs to be. And so, but yeah, good point about it. Like, he's not going to be back in a week. It's going to be reevaluated in a week, and he has to ramp up, and it's got to look good. And, maybe it takes another week or so to come back, right timing, of course, should be. So 1 week, 2 week. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's likely missing at least 6 games. And then maybe possibly coming back around that San Antonio, which is a Wednesday, at home. That would be the likely if everything checks out, like he's good. Now, if he needs another week or something like that, then you're missing another few set of games, right? And you're missing almost up to 10 games, which would be kind of crazy for a finger sprain. So we'll see. We'll see if we hear any more news kind of the next couple of days about the situation. I highly doubt it, because usually everybody's going to keep it on the wraps in Lakers organization. But we'll be on lookout to see if anything happens there.
Yep, we will. But definitely, obviously, need him as healthy as possible, but also as soon as possible.
For sure. All right, Eric. So good win by the Lakers, and they're now 2-1 with the back-to-back tomorrow against Portland. Hopefully they don't let their foot off the gas, and they at least kind of extend that little win streak here to 3 games there. You got anything else before you get out of here?
Portland's also going to be on a back-to-back. Play the Clippers tonight, sure. So there's that. But yeah, it's definitely no letdown. It's not going to be easy, but it'd be nice to get tomorrow's game, go 3-1, head into Minnesota and Memphis, in case something doesn't go, they lose both of those, or hopefully get one of those two. You're in a decent spot at, let's say, 4-2 through 6, and so that's kind of how they have to look at it until they get some of the guys back.
Yeah, and likely if they're not having Gabe Vincent tomorrow, right? It's like they already started Marcus Smart for Luka. Then you're looking at probably Jake LaRavia in the starting lineup, and then you're gonna have essentially just Vanderbilt, and you got to have Connect, and you're likely going to play Bronny James at that point. Like, you're going to have to get something
I was thinking that
out of Bronny, because you'll have about 8 players there, unless you're throwing Chris Manning in the game. And I'll be honest, I don't know much about him.
Maybe we're about to learn. I hope not.
Honestly,
maybe we're about to learn.
I think I sent you a photo of this guy that was in street clothes, and I said, "Who's this on the Lakers team?" And I'm pretty sure that was Chris Manning. So, no disrespect, but we're probably gonna get to know you pretty well pretty soon. But I think Bronny's gonna have to step up and at least play tomorrow, if that's the case.
Yeah, this might be his opportunity to kind of show what his development over the summer and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, especially if Marcus Smart's kind of feeling any effects. It could be a whole lot of role players playing big minutes tomorrow, but
definitely
we'll see when it's official. But cool, man.
All right, guys, we are out. We will upload the pod after we get out of here, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace out, guys.